Hello guys, welcome back to our channel My Project Ideas. This video is part of our ongoing series SAP UI5 projects. In this video, we will see how to perform OData CRUD operations using OData V2 model. So let's get started. This is my Business Application Studio. I'll start by creating a project using a template. SAP UI5 Freestyle, SAP UI5 application. Here I will select Northwind service that I have already configured in the destination in my SAP BTP. Service path. Let's get the service path for the Northwind OData. Select this. We will not select this particular URL. Let's get here. Because we are going to demonstrate CRUD operations, which are create, read, update, and delete operations, we are not selecting these read-only services. What we need is a full access read-write service of Northwind OData. Let's select this. This will give me a V3 model. I just need a V2 model. Just change it to V2, enter, and copy this particular service path. Let's paste it here. Okay. I'll leave the name as V1. Yeah, let's finish this. We'll wait for it to install dependencies. Okay, so let's open this project separately in new workspace. Let's select projects. Let's quickly run this. Okay, so now application is successfully run. Let's check whether our OData is loaded. We'll put dollar in the filter, refresh. Okay, so our metadata is loaded. Let us quickly check our entities. We have product category, supplier address, product category, products. Let's use product. For our particular demonstration, we will be using our entity set products. Let's open this particular metadata. This is our metadata. Go back. Let's start building our view. Close this. Okay. So now, as we are demonstrating a CRUD operations, we need a table where we can load our data. We have columns and we have this. The columns is really a particular column. Next. Let's create our first column. Let's take it as ID. Similarly, for items, let's create column else and text ID. Now that we are done, we need to load our data. Let's give this an ID. Okay, so our view is complete. Okay, so we have a table with a single column ID. Let's load data. Okay, so before we load data, first operation that we will perform is read operation. In read, I will show you how to do a generic read operation to read all the data. I will show you how to apply filters while reading data, how to apply sorters while reading data, and how to use primary keys while reading data, as well as how we can utilize URL parameters such as $skip and $top. Let's get started. I will create a function called read all. Let's get our model. Now that we have our model, we are ready to do a read call. To perform a read call, OModel has a function called read, which accepts a parameter path, which we will assign as products, and URL parameters. We have success, which itself would be a function, callback function, and error with a callback function. An error we will simply console if there's an error, and if we receive a data, we will set it to the table. Create a J model. Exactly. So we have written the code for setting the model to the data. This will still not generate data to this particular table because, let me show you, see whether the data is being fetched. Let's do a refresh. Okay, we need to call this particular function. Let's console our data to see what we receive. Ignore these. Okay. Okay, so we have an error. We'll fix this. This is our data that we have received. So data is an object with results as the key and an array as the value. In the array, we have the data. Okay, so first of all, let's fix this new. We missed out new here. Now this OData, we are setting it to the table. So table will first receive slash results. Now this is an array that we bind to the items. Let's check. Voila. We have the IDs that are loaded. Let's create some more columns. ID, let's take name, rating, and price. Let's check it. So we have a table. So we have successfully done a read call. So this was read all. Let's create read with filters. Create a function. Okay. We'll also this keyword. We will have a model. Let's copy this. For applying filters, we need a filter object. Let's create a filter object. Key.ui.model.filter. Let's put filter on column rating. Cool. Let's first check out the data and then we'll apply a filter. Okay, so we have rating 4, 3, most of them are 3s. So let's filter it out for 3. We'll again write model read, same function, same parameters. First will be the path. I will put in the entity set, and then we have success and error parameters. Along with that, we have another parameter called filters, where in an array we will provide the filter object. And then we will have our success and error message. Copy this. Rest of the code will remain same as the operations are same. Let's make this console. From here as well. We don't need console anymore. Let's format it. So once it is success, the filtered data will set it to the model. Now let's replace this function. Instead of read all, put read filters. Let's test. So we see instead of the 4, all the ratings that are 3 have come up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's change this rating value to 4. We should see only one row with the ID 0 and rating 4. Right? So now we were successfully able to apply filters. Next, come to sorters. Similarly, we'll create another function called read sorter. And most of the code will remain same. So let's copy paste. Now instead of OFilter, we will create a sorter object that will invite OSorter. Model dot sorter. Let's sort according to the price. And the second parameter would be ascending or descending. So we put it as true. This will come as to sort the particular column according to descending. Let's write model.read again. But here instead of filters, we will write sorters, and instead of OFilter, let's replace this with sorter. The rest of the code remains the same. Let's format this. Copy read sorter. Before applying, let's replace read all and check out the data, and then we'll see whether after applying sorters does the data change. Okay, so you see the price, we have 2.5, 3.5, 20.9, 19.9. So basically they're all jumbled up. So after we apply this particular function, we should see change in the order of the data. So you see the data is now, the price column is now sorted in the descending order of the values. Okay. After sorter, the next operation on read that will execute is using URL parameters that are $skip and $top. $skip is supposed to, let's write it out. $28 parameters. Similarly, again, most of the code will be the same. We remove this particular sorter. and instead of sorters, we will write URL parameters. And here, this is an object where we can provide the parameters that we want. So what we'll use here is $skip. $skip is used to skip number of rows or data. So if we put it as $skip2, it will skip the first 2 rows from the data that we received. And $top is supposed to get me the total number of data. So if I put it as 4, I will receive only 4 data after skipping 2 data on the top. So instead of $skip2, I'll put it as 0 so that we get only 4 data. Let's check it out. Okay, so we have not applied that function. Before that, we'll just check. So we have 0, 1, 6. Okay, let's not read this sorted data. Let's read all data. We'll see the data and then how data appears after we apply $skip and $top. So currently the data which we have is from 0 to 8. Now let's apply parameters. So we see we have 0, 1, 2, 3, top 4 data. Let's put $skip as 2. So if you see, first it has skipped 2 data, that was ID 0 and ID 1, and after that 2 data that skipped, it took 4 data that we had provided in $top as a value 4. So it took 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how $skip and $top works. Let's put it back to read all. Okay. The last type of read operation that I will show you is read with the primary key, and with the primary key, read call only provides one particular data, right? If you put a primary key, it will only give you one single data. So let's read that. Read key. Same again, all the read operations are the same function, same particular type. We don't need this URL parameters. The only thing that we need is providing key value in products. That would be, let's put it as 2. We have not utilized this function. Let's replace this function here. Okay, we see no data. I'll show you why that is. Let's go to the network. Let's refresh. Let's see when you put a primary key, how is the data received from our end. So we have $batch, and here we are not receiving an array but an object. Okay, and because this is not an array, so the binding to the items was incorrect. Let's correct it. So to bind it to the table, we need to make this as an array. And if you remember, we have used /results. So this should be the key to the array. Let's create it manually. So that it works the same for our view. See, we have only one data, that is ID equal to 2. Right? So these are 5 types of read that you can perform. So this is read all. Then we had read filters. We used a filter object. Then we had used sorter object. We even tried URL parameters, $skip, $top, and read with using a primary key. Now let's get on with the other operations that are create, update, and delete. To demonstrate those operations, let's change the layout a bit. We will perform all those operations on this particular column rating. Let's change this as input value rating. Initially, we make it as editable false. Okay, so we have a rating. This is editable false, so I can't edit it. Now let's create some buttons for deleting this particular record, for updating this record, or for editing this record. Okay, so let's create 3 buttons. We'll create a new empty column for these buttons. Because we are creating 3 buttons in a single row, let's use an H box. Let's just edit. Let's also use an icon. Okay, to get an icon, I will open Icon Explorer. I want an edit icon. Copy this. Put it here. Similarly, create 2 more buttons. This would be delete. And this would be, so instead of create, let's make it as, let's name the button as creating a duplicate. I'll explain this. So now we have an H box with 3 buttons. Let's make this as read all. Okay, so we have our 3 buttons. Let's format it a bit so that it looks better to the eye. Let's give this a class for margin small, as well as let's make this as let's check it out. Yeah, so it looks better now. So now the operation that it will perform is when we click on delete, it should delete this particular record. If we click on edit, it should make this particular field editable, and then this button should change it to submit, and then after we click submit, it should save this particular value or update this value. And when we click on duplicate, it should duplicate this particular data as a new record with a new ID. Okay, let's perform these three operations. So initially we'll perform edit. Let's give it a function. Edit. Okay, so first thing first, let's take this keyword. Let's create our model. Sorry, let's get our model from get on component. Get model. Now that we have a model, the first thing we need it to toggle the buttons. So one, if it is an edit button, it should enable the editable property of this particular rating section. So when you click on edit, it should make it editable and should change the text to submit. And when we click submit, it should do vice versa. Let's write logic for that. If let's get the button from OEvent. So OEvent.getSource will give me the button reference. Now let's get the text of this button. If that is equal to edit, we would change the text. So we'll use set text. I will set it to submit. So this will toggle our button. Let's write an else for this. Copy. Same thing. Change the text to edit. So this will toggle our button text. Now we need to toggle the editable functionality. So as we have not provided any ID to this particular input, we'll have to fetch it dynamically. There are multiple ways to do it. I will use the way which is the fastest. Okay. So what we can do is take it as OEvent, take it as get source. This will give me the button reference. Then I'll do get parent. This will give me hbox. So the parent of button is hbox. And from here, let's get to the item. So after hbox, after we do get parent, this will give me the reference to the item, the whole row. Once we get the row, let's get the cells. Cells will give me the array of number of columns in it, and our particular input is on the column third position. 0, 1, 2, 3, third position. So let's get cells, third position. This will give me the input. So now that we have the input control, the only thing we need to do is set editable, and same vice versa. We need to do it here. Editable false. So first let's test this out whether this logic works. Okay, so when we click on edit, it makes it as editable. When you click on submit, it again makes it as non-editable. So it works. Okay, let's write the logic for update operation after we click submit. Okay, so if you see, if currently if I change it to anything else, if I click on submit, it goes back, but this is not safe. If I refresh, data will get back to 4. Okay, we get 4 back because it was not saved. So before writing the logic for update operation, one thing that we need to keep in mind is that this O model, we need to set use batch to false, as the OData version that we are using, Northwind, does not support batch operation. And by default, update, create, and delete operations are supposed to be a batch operation. So once we do this, it will disable the batch operation and it will count it as basic update, create, or delete operation. Let's write the update operation now. Okay. So for update, we need to write the function update. Now this will again take one parameter, which is the particular entity path that we need to change. And remember, whenever we are editing a particular row, a particular data, that data will always be represented with the primary key. So first we need to fetch that data. Okay, let's So now let's write the code for update. For update, we have a method called update for the O model. It will accept first parameter as the path, which is products, and it also requires a primary key, as update only happens on a single data, and single data can be only represented as with a primary key. So we'll write the code for fetching the primary key later. The second parameter would be the data that we need to update, and the third parameter will again come back as the URL. Other parameters such as success and error. Success and error function, we can directly copy it from here. So here success function, where we'll do an update. We don't need this. Okay. So first let's find out the key of the data that we need to edit. Create a variable, and to get the data, first we need to get the input box. So this particular statement gives me the input box, and then we can just do get value. This will give me the value of the input box that we have edited. Okay, so this will give me the value of the input box. We also need the ID of the particular row. And how do we get that? ID. Source get binding context dot get property. So binding context will give me the particular data that is binded on that particular row, and by doing get property I will only extract the value of the property ID. So now that we have the ID and we have the data that needs to be updated, so let's put the ID here. We'll concat it OID, and the data that needs to be replaced is, first of all, we have the key is rating, and the value of this rating would be input. So when it's an error, we'll console the error, and if it's a success, we need to update the view with the latest read data. So to get the latest read data, I can again just copy paste read all function, so that I can copy this read all function again, so that it will fetch me the updated data. Okay, let's change it to that keyword. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's edit this. Let's make it as 6. Let's submit. And how do we check whether it was a success? Let's refresh. See, it is now changed. Let's also check out the network for the call that is being executed. So, okay, so let's not change this. Let's change this particular data from 3. Let's make it 5. Okay, so instead of dollar, this is the post call. Okay, the payload rating equal to 5, and it was success, so we had changed the data. Let's refresh and see whether data was changed. So you see data was changed successfully. Okay, so our edit operation was a success. Let's go on to duplicate operation. For duplicate, we will create a function called create. Okay, create function will be similar to what we have for edit. Okay, so these will remain the same, as we need the model, as well as we need to set batch as false, because it's a duplicate function. So we need to fetch the data that needs to be duplicated. So let's fetch that data. Okay, so this is confusing. Let's change it to on duplicate. So let's fetch on duplicate data. Okay, .get object will give me the whole object that has been binded to that particular row. Once you get the whole object, the only thing we need to change is the ID, because ID is always unique. So whatever ID we will get, I will just add 100 to that particular ID. So if we are duplicating the ID 1, the new ID should be 101. Okay. Now that we have the data, we will write create method that is used to create a new record. Similarly, we have the first parameter as the products path. The second parameter is the data, which will be an object. So this is the object that we have created. And then comes the success and error function. So let's copy the success error function. So if it is a success, successfully if we were success in creating a new data, the only thing we need to do is refresh that data in the view. So let's format it. Let's check it out. Okay. So if we click duplicate on ID number 7, let's check what the error is. O event is not defined. Okay, this is a small mistake. Let's correct it. So we have used O event, but we have not declared it. Let's check this out. Okay, let's try it again one more time. We have ID 7. When we click on duplicate, we see another record as 107 with the same data replicated again. Right? Let's refresh and see if the data was actually created or it was just in runtime. So see, even after refresh, we have the data. So you are successfully able to create another data. The last operation that is left now is a delete operation. Let's create a delete operation as well. It is on delete. We will use O event parameter. The first 3 will remain the same. We also need the particular ID. So, because we need the ID of the particular record that needs to be deleted. Let's write it as ID. Let's fetch this ID using O event. Source binding context dot get property ID. Now that we have the ID, let's write the remove function. This remove function is used to delete a particular record. So this is a remove method. The first parameter would be the path, that is the entity set, with the primary key. And second would again be the success and error function. So let's copy the success error function again. Okay, and let's concat the selected ID. So this will delete this particular record with this particular ID. And when it's a success, it will refresh the view. If it's an error, it will console the error. let's write this function in press event here. Okay, so let's test this out. This particular data, I will click on delete. You see, it was deleted. So let's try these three functions again. Let's duplicate ID number 4. It creates 104. Let's edit the rating. The rating, let's make it as 8. Submit. Press change, and then we can delete it as well. So you see, all the three functions work. So these were the CRUD operations on OData V2 model. Okay. I will now show you another way of reading data, as well as when we do a CRUD operation, how does it auto refresh. Okay. To do that, instead of /results, so if you see, previously we were manually fetching the data and manually setting it to the table. There's another way that you can do it. We don't need to write any read code. I'll just comment this out so that we don't have any read code implemented. And instead of results, I will directly write the entity set. So in UI5, in the table binding, if our model is globally set, which is already there in the owner component, it's not necessary that we do a manual read call, but we can directly assign /products to the binding, the entity set. It will automatically fetch the data and bind it to the table. Let's check. Refresh. You see, even though our read call is commented out, it is still fetching the data. This is because it is auto binded here. Okay. And once it is auto binded, this data model is now two-way binding. It will automatically refresh if there's any change in the particular data. So when we are doing update, create or delete, on success we were fetching the data and setting that model again. We don't need to do this. The only thing that we need to do is refresh the particular model. So what we'll do is we will get the table, okay, we get the model of that table, and we will just write refresh. This will, just by refreshing the model, it should fetch the updated data again. Let's copy this on the other two operations as well. So we'll comment this. We don't need a manual read, but we just need to refresh the data. So let's check this out. So first let's duplicate. You see, even though we don't have any read call, means we are not fetching the data again, just by writing the refresh to that model, we were able to update our UI. Same goes for edit. It will update automatically plus delete as well. So if we click on delete, it automatically goes away. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you like this video. The code to this particular project you'll find in the description below. Please subscribe to this channel and give a thumbs up if you really like this video, and any comments and reviews are welcome in the comment section. See you guys again in the next video.